بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Surah Al-Ra'd, verse number 17. أنزل من السماء ماء فسالت أودية بقدرها فاحتمل السيل زبدا رابيا ومما يوقدون عليه في النار ابتغاء حلية أو متاع زبد مثله كذلك يضرب الله الحق والباطل فأما الزبد فيذهب جفاء وأما ما ينفع الناس فيمكث في الأرض كذلك يضرب الله الأمثال. In this beautiful verse, the Quran compares truth to falsehood, the example of truth and falsehood, and the ongoing struggle that continues between truth and falsehood, in which sometimes falsehood seems to prevail. It seems to be everywhere. And from this, people get the impression that falsehood is in fact dominant. Let the Quran explain to us this phenomenon. أنزل من السماء ماء. Truth is like the water that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala descends from the sky. Now, this water accumulates wherever there is a valley. Water will accumulate in that valley. فَسَالَتْ أَوْدِيَةٌ بِقَدَرِهَا. Some valleys are large and immense, others are very small. Every valley carries water according to its capacity. فَسَالَتْ أَوْدِيَةٌ بِقَدَرِهَا. And as this water is flowing through the valley and accumulating, well, there are some unwanted things also that get washed into the water and they start flowing on the surface of the water. فَاحْتَمَلَ السَّيْلُ زَبَدَ الرَّابِيَةِ. Zabad here is the unwanted particles. It could be foam, it could be things like hay and grass and twigs that the water collects and they sort of begin to accumulate over the surface of the water. It could be rubbish from nearby areas. All of this can be included in zabad. This is the unwanted material. This is the dross, the unwanted stuff. Then another example, aside from water, there are certain elements, metals that we use to create jewelry, to create different types of wares, household goods, tools, instruments, and so on and so forth. So how do we process those metals? وَمِمَّا يُوقِدُونَ عَلَيْهِ فِي النَّارِ ابْتِغَاءَ حِلْيَةٍ أَوْ مَتَاعٍ زَبَدٌ مِثْلُهُ. The metals that you heat in fire for the sake of purifying them, while you are seeking to create jewelry or seeking to create other useful things, it also has some unwanted waste. This is the sediment, for example, that accumulates on metal. This is the scum that accumulates. But once it's burned, what happens? That unwanted material starts moving to one side. Whether it's the unwanted substance covering the surface of the water for the moment, or it's the unwanted substance that is covering that metal, once it's heated, it will start separating and isolating itself. Similarly, once that water starts flowing in that valley, the valley is eventually going to cast aside all of the unwanted material. فَأَمَّا الزَّبَدُ فَيَذْهَبُ جُفَاءً. So look, كَذَلِكَ يَضْرِبُ اللَّهُ الْحَقَّ وَالْبَاطِلِ. This is the example of truth and falsehood. Water comes from the sky, it comes from a pure source. It itself is pure. But unwanted things get mixed. And sometimes they are in such a great quantity that they're covering the entire surface of the water. Similarly, in the case of metals, there are some unwanted ores and materials, elements that get mix into that ore, and they need to be separated. In any case, the unwanted and useless material will be separated. This is batil. It looks significant and substantial in its quantity. It might look like it's covering the entire surface of the water. It might give the impression that maybe this whole valley is filled with rubbish and garbage and unwanted material. But the fact is, it's only a matter of time before the water casts it aside. فَأَمَّا الزَّبَدُ فَيَذْهَبُ جُفَاءً. In the case of that pure water, it's going to cast it aside as dross, as scum, as dregs, unwanted things. In the case of metal, it's going to be burned and the impurities are going to be separated. وَأَمَّا مَا يَنْفَعُ النَّاسِ. But that which is beneficial for people, the water which is beneficial for people, of course, it's not exclusive to mankind. Animals will benefit. The earth itself will benefit. But all of those benefits come back to help mankind. That which is beneficial for mankind stays in the world. The pure water stays in the world, and the unwanted stuff is casted aside. The metals that people need to create useful items for themselves, they stay, and the impure stuff is cast aside. So وَأَمَّا مَا يَنْفَعُ النَّاسِ فَيَمْكُثُ فِي الْأَرْضِ. Haqq is truly beneficial and entirely beneficial for mankind. It remains. It might get covered sometimes, but we should not get discouraged. We should know that strength and power and benefit exists only in truth. And there is no strength, there is no power, there is no benefit in falsehood. As that water flows through the valley, eventually the falsehood will be separated from the truth. The rubbish will be separated from the pure water. And we need to make sure that we align ourselves with the beneficial material and not the unwanted material, because the unwanted material is going to be separated. كَذَلِكَ يَضْرِبُ اللَّهُ الْأَمْثَالِ. In this beautiful way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us examples. May Allah Azza wa Jal enable us to recognize the truth when it is in front of us, and also be able to identify falsehood when it is in front of us, so that we know what side to take, we know what we have to engage ourselves with, and we also know what we don't need to be bothered by, even if it seems like it's everywhere. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين.